Hi, Namaste, and welcome to Breakout with me, Abha. Thank you so much for watching. As you know, we bring to you exceptional people who have broken the rules and made new rules, and they are here to share their insights with all of us so we can break out of what we find limiting or confusing and break into something that we find absolutely necessary for us. They've got the strategies and tools, and they're going to bring it to all of us, and from them we learn that there is only one rule to life, and that is that there are no rules to life. We just make them up all on the way. So my guest today is a leadership and career mentor, speaker, author, and CEO and founder of U-Turn, and founder and the main person out of the Switch and Shrift blog. And U-Turn is helping emerging talent connect with entrepreneur-driven businesses and nonprofits through high-impact mentor-based internships. Now, people do not have to wait. This is a matchmaking place where Mark, my guest today, has figured a way to put the right people together in the right spaces so the time gap between what they do in terms of their results is reduced. Please welcome Mark Babbitt. Mark.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Good morning. And Mark, we're going to eventually talk about your book. I see your book in the back, A World Gone Social. I have read that book. It's not just telling people that either you begin to ride the train, otherwise you'll be left behind. It's humorous beyond a point. I love the
Thank you.
humor. I loved it. So, Mark, tell me, U-Turn is this place where you have this methodology, the new methodology of connecting people, connecting new people into places who can either you're mentoring them to get into the right kind of places, so the career path or the time space or the time gap is reduced in terms of going through traditional ways of looking for a job. So just give us a peep into that.
You bet. So U-Turn was our first community, and it actually came from a passion of mine. I was hiring 1,000 people a year at the time, and I loved the idea of bringing on young talent. But what I found was the young talent wasn't ready for the workforce,
Right.
and there was this belief, and this is way back in 2010. It still holds true today, that as long as we had a college degree, then we were employable.
Right.
And it couldn't be farther from the truth.
Right.
And especially as technology has come on, I mean, we run U-Turn based on content and sharing that content and communicating on social media.
Right.
And just because you have an account on Facebook with your red Solo Cup pictures does not make you a social media expert. And so we said there's got to be a better way to hire people. There's got to be a better way to help people be ready to be hired.
Right.
And so we started this passion project called U-Turn, where we didn't just connect them to internships, but we connected them to mentors and people who could shorten the learning curve.
Right.
And prepare them for the workforce even before they graduated. And at the time, global recession was still firmly grasping everyone, it seemed, and people were graduating college and $80,000 in student loan debt, and they couldn't get a job.
Right.
And so that was our goal, was to fix that, and we've come a long way since, and we have a new version of the site launching by the end of this quarter, and it's been a fun ride.
That sounds great, because I have a son who's 21, and he did very well in the first 2 years of college, but the third year he sort of wavered, and he always, because this whole mindset about once you have college you are employable. So you use the word employable, and I've gone through with him through this whole process. So I think what's going to happen with you. So when I was reading about you and U-Turn, and I had sent that link to him I said, go put your profile up there. And next time I'll make sure that I request a meeting with Mark and you speak with him, learn what's going on. The world is literally opened up to a different, it's a different phenomenon in terms of employability. And people's skills are not being just taken from their degrees, but I think there's a whole lot that one has to do now.
Yes, and honestly, it's not just limited to college students or young careerists. I mean, the world has gone social, and we need to have social proof of our expertise online before we even look for,
Right.
and not just traditional work, but contract work, freelance work, solopreneurship.
Right.
That social proof is so important right now, and it's just not being taught in our higher education system.
Right. But is it something that our companies, for example, like you're at the moment you say you're connecting these people, new people to mentors who can help them learn what it needs to be out there and be effective out there in terms of employability. But are companies responding in this way to employ such people and go out there and to say, okay, I figure that you're good despite your degrees, or maybe not a degree. Does it work for people who don't have degrees?
It works for both actually, because honestly, today, I mean, there are still some of the more traditional companies that absolutely require a degree as a minimum requirement.
Right.
But even those companies know that a degree doesn't make you special. Exactly as I said. It's a minimum requirement, and they want to see 3, 4, 5 internships on your resume. They want to see that you're volunteering. They want to see that you're part of the community and sharing your passion for your industry and your career online.
Right. And how's it working with people? This is for the people who just got getting out of college or the younger lot. But the same thing applies, and especially going by your book, what you say over there, and in real life, what we're seeing today, it really applies to just about everybody probably looking for a career change, or getting into a different business, or maybe leaving the business, getting into a new kind of space. So for those people, how does U-turn help them as well?
Well, we do. We have our LinkedIn group and our Twitter chat. It's actually made up about 30% of workforce veterans,
Right.
and they're looking to maybe I'll use the word catch up, although that it probably has a negative connotation to it. But the people who haven't been on Facebook and Twitter and haven't yet embraced the social age,
Right.
they're even farther behind. I mean, yes, they have 10, 15, 20 years of experience on their resume, but it's a different kind of experience than a lot of employers are looking for.
Right.
And employers today are looking for not just can you do the job, but can you do the job well and fit within our existing culture.
Right.
And so let's say they get your resume, they get your application. The first thing they do is go to LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and then Facebook, and then Twitter. And they, even before they call you for the interview, even though it may be abundantly clear that you can do the job
Right.
from a technical point of view, they're still checking you out before they even call you for an interview. And a lot of our workforce veterans aren't quite ready for that.
Right, right. I think this now the space is out there for them to be able to see you before you even get there. So you got to make that space look good and in a genuine way, in an authentic way, that what you're doing is good enough for them. Mark, tell me, you also serve as the president of switchandshift.com. This is a site that brings the human side of leadership into being. I have spoken with your other friends over there and people, founders over there, and it is a consultancy dedicated to leadership in the social age. And because I loved that blog. I mean, believe me, I've got to you people thanks to that blog, because I used to read it almost. I would go there if I had to look for some crazy innovative information, something to challenge the status quo or something of that sort. That was the place to be. So tell us more about Switch and Shift, and what Switch and Shift has been, because that's now consulting in a huge way in terms of bringing the human side of leadership in front of the world. So give us your view and what exactly went into it, and where is it now?
Well, Switch and Shift was founded by my business partner and one of my best friends, Sean Murphy, and Sean definitely felt there was a more human way to lead, a more human way to run a business, and he was one of the first to identify that our old version of best practices
Yes.
was leaving people in the dust. And he and I first started talking because I felt the same way about careers and recruiting and hiring and building the best team.
Right.
We were using a broken system to try and hire the best people.
Right.
And leadership is basically that same problem. We're training people how to manage, how to enforce conformity,
Right.
how to enforce compliance, but we're not teaching them how to be leaders, and we're not teaching them how to be mentors.
Right.
And so the more Sean and I talked, the more we realized how closely tied these two communities are. Right. And first I started writing for them, and then our book came out, co-written with Ted Koine, right, who formerly of Switch and Shift, and Sean and I just hit it off so well that we joined forces, and I became part of Switch and Shift also, and so it's fun now to see the look on people's faces when they realize they don't have to be that autocratic, loud, decisive, obnoxious leader that only cares about what time you clocked in and what time you clocked out and how long your breaks were, right, and actually inspire people to do good work and inspire optimism in the workplace. And so that's just as rewarding as U-Turn is on a slightly different level, but it's disruptive. It's fun.
Yes, it is.
It's taking a rebellious look at not just leadership, but especially when combined with the work with what we do at U-Turn, we're turning the workplace on its ear, and we're teaching people that who cares when somebody clocks in, who cares where they get their work done, right, are they happy, are they passionate, is their purpose aligned with the purpose of the organization? Right. Because if it's not, they're doing it just for the paycheck. Right. And do you really want somebody working for you that doesn't care about your mission, that doesn't care about the project, that doesn't care maybe even about their work? Right. They only care about, I'm going to do the bare minimum just to get paid. And right, and that, that's a very industrial age manifesto. That's right. That, when we had a lot of manufacturing, especially here in the US, people just showed up, they clocked in, they did their work for 8 hours minus breaks, they went home, nobody cared. Now, in the knowledge economy, we need people who care. Right. We need people passionate about our mission, and right, that's what we talk a lot about at Switch and Shift.
Right. I've seen the kind of blogs, the writing that comes up there, the resources that you people are sharing, and likewise with U-Turn. You are providing a lot of resources to these youngsters to see and understand what goes out in the real world. So is it part of that, because a percentage of your work literally looks like giving out these resources and knowledge and the latest information that is coming in there and the disruptive kind of stuff, which people got to start seeing, because leadership is out of the books now. It's the books are gone. I have authored a book, and I say that we got to get out of books and start leading from the heart and from the person, and that's what really works in the end. So in your case, in U-Turn, Switch and Shift, and you're on a couple of other. You're also the co-founder of ForwardHeroes.org. That's a nonprofit that assists military veterans to transition into the civilian workforce. So it's a great way to actually get people to get back into themselves and figure where they stand and what's missing, what is it that they're not just missing, what could they add to themselves to make them more valuable. So my question to you is, this is for me, this is actually huge. It's not just a blog, it's not just this is enhancing and actually helping in evolving people and getting them to get into their deeper sides, to recognize themselves and stay valuable for as long as they can. And is that the kind of thought that is running behind this?
Well, that's it exactly. We, all three of those communities, our job basically is to help people understand two things. One, the value they bring, yes, whether it's in the workforce or as a leader or as maybe a transitioning military veteran. What's the value you bring? And to do that, we ask them two, it turns out, very difficult questions. We ask them, what are you really, really good at, and who will pay you to do that?
Right.
Right. Now, those are two very different questions than that whole, what do you want to be when you grow up? What school do you want to go to? What are you going to major in? Right. Those questions are very industrial age thinking. But what are you really, really good at, and who will pay you to do that is very social age thinking, because once we grasp what our talent is, what our core value is,
Right.
and we align our personal purpose with the purpose of the organizations that might pay us or employ us,
Right.
now our eyes are completely focused on not just paying the rent, but on making a difference.
Right.
And that's the key, right?
Right.
You
Right.
you get up before the alarm clock goes off in the morning. You can't wait for Mondays. You are walking to work fully present, completely mindful, knowing that that day you're going to have an impact on the bottom line. And that's our goal in our communities is not just, and frankly, it's not just understanding your value and the impact that you can bring, but also having the confidence to share your voice. And
Exactly.
especially with younger people, our old corporate ladder system, it was that, oh, you've only been here 5 years, you haven't earned your stripes yet, you don't have a voice, you don't have an opinion,
Right.
right? And that's not true anymore.
Right.
It's not, and so we want people to not just go out and get a great job or a great internship or a great leadership position. We want them to walk in and start making an impact right away, and sharing what they know and sharing their passions, and leading from out front.
Right, right. And this is I mean, you're talking of U-turn, interns, leadership. I think this is pure absolute empowerment. When people can go out and figure who they are, what their purpose is, align it to something that works for them or works for somebody else, get paid for it, and still go out and make an impact. This is hugely, hugely empowering. So I'm going to connect all this to a world gone social, the book and the content of the book, and the whole idea behind the book, that this is so interconnected in the way that now we cannot possibly avoid, because we have that opportunity to raise our voice, we have the platforms to raise our voice, we have the freedom to go and do what we feel is right for us. I mean, being in a job or not being in a job doesn't stop you from doing any of them, right? How best can the younger generation or people, anybody you people are serving, I mean, who U-turn is serving, how should they begin now if they haven't yet started? What should they be
Well,
doing?
I think it starts with a little bit of reflection, and it starts with understanding what you stand for as a person, right? What's important to you, and what are your core values? What are your core ethics? At what point are you willing to cross the line just to earn a paycheck? And and frankly, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What are you excited about? And let's face it, not all of us are in the position to quit a job or turn down a job. We have a mortgage to pay. We have student loan bills to pay off, right? But but even then, what we're seeing now more and more is people will go do their day job to pay their bills, but then they explore their passions after the day job, or sometimes even during the day job or on weekends or whatever, right?
Right, right.
And so, and over time, by doing that, instead of just becoming a victim, another disengaged member of the workforce, they start to understand how important it is to live their life on their terms,
Right.
and to feel that sense of empowerment, and that sense that they will make an impact on the world. And so it's I mean, the answer to your question is, it starts with a little bit of asking yourself, what difference do I want to make?
Right.
And maybe the answer to that question, Abba, is nothing. Right now I just want to pay my bills, and I want to have a beer on Friday night, and I want to meet the right person in my life, and that's all fine, that's all great. But if that's not what you want, we try to help people realize, okay, that's not what you want. You want to be more. Here's how you do that. And at all of our communities, we talk a lot about actionable inspiration, and what's going to inspire you to take action. And it might be this morning's blog post. It might be last week's blab session or this week's podcast. But our job is to inspire people to take action, and
Right.
not just become victims, not just become a statistic, but you have to own where you are in life. And so that's the common thread through all of our communities.
Right. So now earlier, because the life and work was like this, vertical. We could see where this was going. Now it's almost like scattered, scattered plus an open field for people to be able to experiment, not just experiment, even find ways to express themselves in more ways than one. U-turn has got, I see that you contribute to the career blogging space at Huffington Post, 12most.com, the Daily News, All Top PR Day. People are able to now see that their possibilities are endless. Things to do are endless. So if they were to reach out to you through these blogs or at other places, do they just go and get their profile up on U-turn and they can
Well,
meet Mark Babbitt?
that's a great start. We have a well, we have several ways. One of the things I'm most proud of at all of our communities is we have what I feel are the best people in each space. At U-turn, it's the best people in the world in the career space right for U-turn.
Right.
And they don't get paid for doing that. They want to be there. They want to help. Right. They're built-in mentors. It's the same at Switch and Shift. It's like a who's who of rebellious leaders.
Right.
And so the thing I'm most proud of about our communities is we've actually built what we call a peer-to-peer mentoring network. It's very informal. You don't have to fill out a profile. You just have to start talking. You just have to start communicating. You just have to get on Twitter and say, hey, read your blog yesterday. Have a couple questions. Can somebody, can I talk to somebody? Mm-hmm. And we connect people with recruiters, resume writers, personal branding experts, digital branding experts.
Right.
And we have all these mentors just sitting there waiting to help. And it's by far the thing I'm most proud of, because let's face it, we can't, I probably can't talk to 500 people a day about their personal branding or their career experts personally.
Right.
But when you have this mentoring network of thousands of people, we're making a dent, and half the time we don't even know it. And then we'll get a tweet or we'll get a post on Facebook and say, hey, I just had this great talk with Stephen Levy, a recruiter in New York I met through U-turn, completely turned my career around, right? And we'll see those tweets, or we'll see a post on Facebook, or we'll see a comment on a blog, and that makes it pretty easy to get it.
Of course. I can see. I mean, this is, when I'm listening to you, I can still see. This is such an organic kind of movement. Things are happening on their own because the energy field is not about like here. It's helping and giving. So which is very powerful. I mean, I would really be happy to be of help in any way if I can be.
Oh well, we'll put you to work.
I'll work for you, no problem. So Matt, you're. Let me talk about the best practices part that you talked in Switch and Shift. You were in U-turn. Obviously, there's a connect over there. There's a little bit of it's pouring out of there into U-turn as well. So best practices today are almost. I would not say there are any best practices. The best practices evolve on a daily basis. We know for a fact, and then again connecting it to your world gone social, because I see it as a triad sitting over there. When I see Switch and Shift, I'm now seeing U-turn, I see world gone social. It evolves of what works now, and it changes literally 2 to 3 weeks from every week. So when you talk about best practices in U-turn for people who are new, who haven't been there, who haven't been through that grind to understand what best practices mean, and they don't read a lot of books, they haven't yet got started there to understand what it means. How are they supposed to understand this term? Because ultimately it boils down to value and who you are as a person. How do they look at it?
I think the first thing is to get involved and to have the confidence to have your voice heard, and not be afraid of asking the tough questions. Notice I didn't say stupid questions, because there really are. People say there's no such thing as a stupid question. I completely disagree. Google it, right? Google it, right? And so I think part of it is just a confidence thing or a self-awareness thing.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, nobody ever learned anything by being a lurker. Nobody ever learned anything by not sticking their neck out there and getting involved.
Right.
And there's a line from the movie Field of Dreams where James Earl Jones said, I was the center of involved. Uh-huh. And that's kind of what this is let's just say you care about the environment, right? And you say on your resume and your LinkedIn profile and your social media profiles, that you care about the environment. And that's important to maybe not only you, but a potential employer or a potential customer of your freelance business.
Right.
And then we go to your LinkedIn profile and we see that you say that. We go to your resume and here it is again. It's really big in your Twitter profile, you know, the 160 characters you have to describe yourself. It was important enough to you to have it there, but then there's no social proof that you're actually doing anything about it.
Right.
Right? Then our personal branding, our voice becomes diluted.
Right.
It becomes inauthentic, and people start to question: is he just saying that to have the right keywords and the right buzzwords,
Right.
or does he believe in it? Right? Now, on the other hand, if you say that, and then here's a picture of you at a beach cleanup that weekend, right, or mentoring middle school kids on how important the environment is, or global changes, or whatever, and you. Or even better yet, you show on LinkedIn profile that you started a nonprofit or started a volunteer group to do that beach cleanup and you led that effort. Well, now not only is your voice being heard, but you're providing social proof
Right.
that you actually give a damn.
Right.
And you're actually out there working the system to help make a difference in the world. And that's it. Go do something amazing.
Right.
And then talk about it, right? It makes you feel good, of course, when you do something really cool, like a beach cleanup or something. But then the second step of that in today's world, in what we call the testimonial economy,
Right.
is now you need people who know what you care about,
Right.
that will recommend you to their friends, that say, look, this young lady is amazing. She not only walks the talk, she's out there leading efforts to get those beaches cleaned up.
Right.
And this is somebody you need on your team.
Right.
This is a passionate individual that I personally care a lot about, that I believe in, and I'm going to recommend her for your company or your organization.
Right.
That's what you want. You
Right.
want to do amazing things so people notice and they'll stick their professional reputations on the line
Right.
to recommend you for a job or an opportunity. That's the ultimate goal.
Right.
Is who knows what you're passionate about, who cares about the quality of your work, who cares about you personally,
Right.
and is going to recommend you. And
Right.
that's why we get on social media. That's why we network. That's why we communicate. That's why we work hard. Is so one day people come up to you and say, I know you're not looking for work right now, but I have this amazing opportunity you would be great for. I'd love to talk to you.
Right.
Let the passion-based, purpose-based work find you.
Right.
Stop going to the job boards. Stop peddling your own wares. Stop being one of these spamming self-promoters.
Right.
And be so good the work finds you. That's the ultimate goal.
Wow. I think this is anybody who's listening and everybody who's watching, just hear this one, because you got to go have the job find you. So which means we've got to be so good and commit to yourself of being your best. And we are living in times, Mark, that people, I think because of the way the world is opened up and the way we see each other today, people, I think if they took it seriously, they would have no choice but to step up, pull their socks up and put their best foot forward in the most authentic manner. So we are in great times today. And if we can get guidance from people like yourself, that's amazing for the new people and for the old, because a lot of people, because I was reading A World Gone Social. Let me take you there once. In A World Gone Social, there are an n number of examples of companies who did not buy the fact that things have changed, and if they don't, they will be left behind. Does it still happen? Is it still?
Oh, it's still happening today.
It's happening? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's still happening. We call it not so delicate. We call it old white guy disease.
Right.
And we mean that quite literally. It's usually an older leader, white male, who is afraid of losing control,
Right.
who's afraid of giving up their power,
Right.
that doesn't see the tsunami of change coming,
Right.
that still thinks Facebook is for kids, and that social media doesn't apply to him,
Right.
and he doesn't need to prove what he stands for. He doesn't need a personal brand.
Right.
He gets to sit up on the 62nd floor with his great view of the city, and just lead from the ivory tower. That's usually the person that has no use for any of this yet, and is still hiring based on technical competency instead of culture fit. And will look, if he ever goes to the manufacturing floor will go down there and somebody will complain or have a suggestion, and he'll say, just do what you're told. Don't make waves. This is the way we've always done it. It's always worked for us.
Right.
Don't innovate. Don't collaborate. Don't communicate. Just do your job. Right. And so, yes, unfortunately, it's still happening a lot. And you can look at some of our biggest and best companies, and you can see this every day. You can see people getting fired for sharing their voice, getting chastised for being vocal about social responsibility, and it's but here's what's going to happen is pretty soon there's going to be two kind of leaders. There's going to be social leaders, those who really care about something other than turning a profit, that are mentors and leaders, not just managers and compliance officers. There's going to be that kind of leader, and there's going to be retired leaders.
Right.
And the transition's already happening. You look at some of our amazing younger companies, from Facebook to Airbnb to Uber. I mean, they're disrupting everything, not just their industries, but how they hire, how they build teams, how they collaborate, how they compete. These guys get it, and they're making a huge difference. And all of us at some point need to become part of this change that's happening around us.
Right. The pace has changed, absolutely. And I think that brings me to another thing. A lot of people and a lot of these companies are trying. You want to hold on for a second?
Sorry, I had a cough.
No problem. You want to hold on for a second? No problem.
I'm good.
Okay, great.
No, I'm good now.
So we're in a place just now that it's a great place for customers or consumers, but not the greatest place for employees. Like you just mentioned, because they have restrictions on what they can share about the company. So this social media boom doesn't work so well for them as much as it does for a random customer or a consumer who can just go post something somewhere and have the whole world dancing around it. So do you see a change coming over there? Do you think there's going to be balance?
We do. I mean, there was a recent study that came out that said almost 1/3 of millennials would refuse to work for a company that didn't allow them to be on social media during the day. Right. And yet we have all these huge old school legacy companies throughout the world that the first thing you do is turn off your cell phone and no access to social media from the company, VPN or internet. And it's a lockdown, right? It's a total lockdown.
Right.
And that's actually the opposite of the approach that social companies should take. That you actually want your employees on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Snapchat, wherever, saying what a great day they had today.
Right.
And how we helped this amazing new customer today. And we made a difference today. You want your employees being your brand ambassadors.
Right.
And so when you make people turn off their cell phones, when you deny access to social media, in their Twitter profiles, when you make them say, opinions are my own, not necessarily my employer's, right? You're shutting down their voice.
Right.
You're not giving them the digital bullhorn that will help your company get to the next level in the social age.
Right.
And it's back to compliance and conformity and just do what you're told. Those companies are not going to excel in this economy.
Right. So this is great. This is like, I think that you're in what you're doing with Switch and Shift with your book World Gone Social, U-Turn. I think we are in this phase of transition. And it's so strong at this point of time that if we don't ride that, if we don't understand that, if we don't pick that up and don't make the best of it, we'll probably be missing the bus. So everybody who's listening and watching, please remember, it's youtern.com, the uturn.com. Get your kids up there, get yourself on that place, just figure what's going on. Immense resource over there for you to learn how to live and get yourself, become employable in this social age where everything is not the same as it used to be. It's not as straitjacketed as it used to be. It's not as conforming as it used to be. It's very different, and it changes every day. So if you don't change your mind with that, things are going to be a little bit, there. Okay, so Mark, my last question to you. This U-Turn is everywhere. We're seeing you in Mashable, Forbes. You're in what all top list? Let me see. You're the business and leadership editor at 12moves.com. You contribute to the Business Insider, studentbranding.com, and intern advocate and Inc. magazine's list of top 100 leadership speakers. What do you not do?
Well, the good thing about social is it is a digital bullhorn. It allows you to amplify your voice
Right.
and and when your business model is based almost exclusively on providing value, non-transactional value,
Right.
then you want your voice heard. So we work very hard at all of our communities to guest blog and to speak and to do a lot of pro bono work and to be involved in the community
Right.
and so we're out there a lot and we love our work. We work a lot of hours. We do. I don't know if we actually cross the line over into workaholic except for
Right.
me possibly, but we you have to be out there and I can't ask a college student or transitioning veteran or a new leader to be social if I'm not. And so yeah, we work pretty hard, but again, we love our work and we know we're having an impact and it's not a bad way to make a living. So
Absolutely, and you're really, really having an impact because I personally have had such a great experience reading especially Switch and Shift. It started with Switch and Shift, then I got to know Ted Coiney, so I got that book and I read that and I read it in one go because I couldn't keep it down because the stories were not just stories that one wakes up to, but stories that sort of blow your mind and they were hilarious and I could retain them for days, and it kept on in my head for a long time. So now with U-turn, I'm kind of I think I'm going to get my son there and make sure that he puts his profile up there,
good,
and,
good.
and all his friends do that because they all come to me to ask for advice. So I'm going to send them to you to go get
Okay,
their
fair
advice.
enough.
So one last fun question. You say you live in Seattle with a woman who barely tolerates you. Uh, how's that going?
Well, I hope it's going well, actually. She is a mentor herself.
Yes.
She is quite literally a rocket scientist
Right.
and helps mentor young women in the STEM fields.
Oh,
And so she understands my passion. She understands my entrepreneurial spirit. She certainly helps raise our 5 kids and our 2 grandkids and a black lab that thinks she's human. So I hope she continues to tolerate me.
That's sweet. That's really really sweet. So thank you very much, Mark, for your time. This was crazy because I think this is a Pandora's box that is open, and you guys are helping people make sense of it, which is really really great, and connecting with people's own growth and development and evolvement and empowerment in ways that works on an everyday basis. This is really amazing. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time.
Of
Great to have
course.
you on the show.
Well, great to be here. Thank you very much. And thanks
Thank
for
you.
all the great work you're doing.
Thank you. And for everyone, go to youtern.com. Get your kids, get yourself, get your friends, get everybody there. Read the Switch and Shift blog if you're looking for leadership innovations or leadership thought, the kind that you don't read in the books. It's totally different. Go get that and get the book A World Gone Social. That's authored by Mark Babbitt and Ted Coiney. Both amazing people doing great work. The human side, the moralistic side, the good side of the world, they're bringing that to the world, in the world which is just opened up for all of us to make sense of it. So thank you very much. Goodbye. See you next time.